Good afternoon, and welcome back to Asgard, and welcome back to the 6th episode of our Direwolf 21.10 Let's Play series. So, since the last episode, I didn't get as much done as I was hoping to. I did get some things moved. I went ahead and expanded the smeltery. I got this moved on over here. I haven't got this set up. We're going to set up timers and stuff to this. I haven't got all that done just yet. And then I went ahead and moved our nether portal. I started building our next tower over there. I've got a ladder to get up there right now. Hopefully we'll actually have flight before too long. Also, as just a heads up, we got a skeleton. You can actually, I had a comment on I did a tutorial video if you guys didn't see it. Just a quick tutorial in case you want to look up the, that extra utilities build. But I did get a comment. You can put 4 more in the middle. I don't know why I didn't notice that. And that will increase your GP by, like 64 additional GP. So we've got like 300 and something now. So, it's definitely worth doing. We've got 336 GP on that. But yeah, I started building that next tower. Also, our quarry finished running, so I went ahead and moved that and got it running again. I haven't moved all the drawers over just yet. I have to make some packing tape to do that. Also, I did forget to mention last episode, if you want to search this indexer, so say we wanted, let's say for example, slime, you just type it into JEI, and that's going to search your indexer for you. And it also works with the indexer remote as well. So if I go in here, I type slime, that works. But anyway, I've had a number of requests for blood magic. So today, that's what we're going to be starting is blood magic and the new changes and everything that are present within the mod. So the first thing that we're going to want to get ourselves, we need a rudimentary snare. So this is just going to take some string and iron and some redstone. That's going to get you 4 of those. So we'll go ahead and get this snare. Now, keep in mind that you can use this hemp to make string as well. But I would suggest that you get a few of these. I'm going to go ahead and get 28. That's all I can make with that, which that's fine. And then what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to go out and find yourself some monsters. So it looks like we got some out here waiting for us. It looks like I'm just going to take the damage. So you're going to throw these snares at them until you get that white particle effect. And then what happens, well, it's just a big mess of monsters out here. Okay. There's just guys everywhere out there. So anyway, you're going to get these demonic wheels. Now you'll notice we got 2 of those. You do have to wait for those white particle effects. Otherwise, you're not going to get that. So sometimes it will take a few snares to finally get that to go off. I did have better luck this time than I did all the mods. Because there was times I would spend like 10 snares to get the white particles. But it seemed to be every couple, we'd get it. But anyway, once you have these demonic wheels, now what we're going to do is craft ourselves up a few items to get started. And of course, the first thing that we're going to want is our blood altar. Now, you'll notice that this does take a demonic wheel. You will see different values on these. So, like this one has a wheel quality of 3.4. This one has 4.92. Usually, it's going to range from about 1 to about 5 on these demonic wheels. We'll eventually be able to make better ones. But starting out, they're fairly low quality. But I would suggest you use your lowest quality for this because it's going to consume it. So, we'll go ahead and get our blood altar. And then the next thing we're going to need is, of course, our sacrificial dagger, which is just going to take some glass and golden iron. Let me get some glass here. And that's going to get us this. So from, this starting stuff is pretty standard to blood magic. It's the same that it's always been, I guess. So, of course, now we're going to want to start stabbing ourselves with our sacrificial dagger. And actually, of course, stabbing yourself over and over again and then waiting for your health regen is not fun at all. Of course, there's ways to bypass that with Botania, but since we're doing so much actually additions, and we haven't started Botania, of course, let's go ahead. We're going to get ourselves a ring of regeneration. So we're going to need some glowstone, gold, and iron. There we go, and that'll get us our ring. And then we're also going to want just a water bottle, some nether wart, and then 4 gas tiers, which are kind of steep. But of course, you can always knock the fireballs back. That's what I do, is just try to get them into a place, that where the stuff's not going to fall. And they're falling to lava. And then, of course, just knock the fireballs back at them. And you're also going to need a block of diamantine. So it is a little bit expensive, 9 diamonds. But, of course, we've spent more in a single episode. So that's not a problem. Alright, and that's going to get us our Ring of Regeneration. Now, the way these work, there's 2 different versions, you'll notice. There's a Ring of Regeneration, and there's an Advanced Ring of Regeneration. And there's other potion rings like this with actually additions. Now, if you have the first level, you have to hold it in order to get the effects, and it's only going to give you a level 1 effect. So in this case, we're going to have level 1 regeneration when we're holding the ring. However, once you get the tier 2s, as long as they're in your inventory somewhere, you're going to get a tier 2 potion effect. So in that case, of course, we'd have constant effect regeneration 2 just for being in our inventory. But the tier 2s do require the tier 1 ring and then an Ender Star, which does take Dragon's Breath, which we'll get into that later on, a Nether Star, Prismarine Shard, and Black Quartz. So they're not terribly expensive, but now you'll notice if I just sit here and I hold this, I do get a little bit of regen to get my health back up, and then I can get back to stabbing. Now, of course, the first thing that we're going to want to get is our blood orb. So let's go ahead and we're going to toss that in there, and I'm going to go ahead and stab myself just to keep my blood level up. And it'll just take it a minute. And there we go. We got our weak blood orb. So let's just go ahead and right click just to link it to us. So now you'll see that its current owner is to Asgard. And then the next thing that I want to craft is going to be our incense altar. Now this just takes a little bit of stone, some cobblestone, and some charcoal. We can't use standard coal, can we? No. Okay. By the way, I've been making a bunch of energetic alloy that we're going to be using fairly soon. So we'll get our incense altar just like so, and of course it doesn't consume our blood orb. And then what we'll do is we'll put this down like right here next to our altar, and so now you'll notice that we get a different graphic on the sacrificial dagger. So I'm not going to stab myself right now because we don't need the blood, but it's going to give you, it's basically going to cut your health down to like a heart or half a heart, something like that, with a single prick, and it's going to give you a bonus from stabbing yourself. So that way we won't have to just sit there and keep doing that. Alright, I just went and I grinded up a little bit more demonic wheel. You'll notice I got one in here that's really bad, 0.41 quality. So yeah, and it can range. But the next thing that I want to go ahead and get is the Hellfire Forge. It's fairly cheap. It does require a block of iron, but you know, especially if you've got the quarry going on, it's not really an issue. So let's get that. And we'll get our Hellfire Forge. And this you can just set down, say like right here. And then what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to get our first Tartaric gem. So this requires, in the Hellfire Forge, a little bit of gold, redstone, lapis, and some glass. So once you get all that stuff, you just put it on these little corners around the ritual circle that's displayed on here. And then if you notice the Tartaric gem, if you go to the recipe arrow, it's going to require at least one minimum wheel, and it's going to drain one wheel. Now sometimes the drain and the minimum are going to be different. So for example, let's say the lesser Tartaric gem. You'll notice that you need at least 60 wheel, but it's only going to drain 20. So the reason we want to go ahead and get a Tartaric gem is, of course, these little demonic wheels, the best we're going to find on these is like maybe a 5. You know, it's very, very rare even to find a 5. So we're going to use this one because it's got 1 and it's just barely over 1. You'll notice the bar starts filling up. And there we go. So we got our petty Tartaric gem, and you'll notice that now the quality on this is only 0.11. So it did drop that. So now that we've got our first Tartaric gem, now we can start actually storing up some wheel in this, and it'll allow us to get, you know, way more than just the standard 5 with the demonic wheels. These hold up to, I believe, 60, and then you'll need to upgrade it to the lesser Tartaric, which will then, I believe it holds like 100 and something, maybe 240. Yeah, it'd be at least 240. They do start scaling fairly quickly. So the next thing that we're going to want is we're going to want to get ourselves a sentient sword. Now this just requires an iron sword with a petty Tartaric gem, and then we're going to need something in here. It doesn't actually have to have any wheel in it at all, because it doesn't drain anything to make this. So let's get our sword. And we've actually already got one here made. That's great. So we're going to put this into the Hellfire Forge with our Tartaric Gem. It needs to go over here. And then we'll just use, this is fine. And then once it runs all the way up, it's going to consume our Tartaric Gem that we made. But we're going to get our sentient sword. Now this thing will allow you to get demonic wheels without using a snare. However, let's go ahead and make ourselves another Tartaric Gem. Alright, so we got our other Tartaric Gem. Alright, and now that we've got our sentient sword, of course we can go hunting. However, there's one other thing I want to make before we do that, and we're going to need a leather tunic, as well as some glass, iron, a blank slate, and a bucket. Now, of course, the way you make blank slates is you put them into your blood altar, and you're going to give them a minute, or you're going to put smooth stone into your blood altar, and give that a minute. That's, that really hasn't changed. And that's going to get us our blank slates, which we're going to need an empty hand. Of course, we're going to need a bunch of these blank slates, but let's go ahead and just set up a little semi-automated system. Now with this, of course, you're still going to need to manage the amount of blood that's in your altar at the moment, since that's not automated. But let's just get ourselves some item conduits. I mean, you could use transfer nodes. We're going to get a basic item filter. Let me grab, then we'll get just a little bit of paper here and make our item filter. And then for our item conduits, I don't know if I've got pulsating iron around here. I think I do. Yes. And I've got some conduit binder somewhere. There we go. And we'll just get just some item conduits. I think I used all mine up on the quarry. And we'll just put this down. We'll say this one's going to input. So we'll say extract, always active. And then we're going to have you insert, and then we're going to put another one here that's set to insert into here. Disable that. And we'll say extract, always active, but you're going to have a filter, and we're going to say right now you can only pull out blank slates. And then we can take, say, 5 of these. You kind of have to be careful because you don't have a whole lot of blood storage within this at the moment. But we can throw in a bunch of those just like that. And I'll show you how this sacrificial dagger works. See how it took out all my hearts? And it actually gives you a bonus. And it's going to happen anytime you're next to an incense altar. And you can actually keep that buff up. So if I run off, but you'll notice that this still has the thumbnail. If I run off, I can still stab myself with that. Basically, it gives it a buff, and the next time that you stab yourself, you're going to get that effect. Now, the next thing that we're going to want is going to be the coat of arms. Now there is a couple different options, and I'll go over the other one in a second. But the coat of arms is the one that I prefer using. We are going to need 4 pieces of glass. And then we're going to want a bucket. And we can get our coat of arms. Now, the way this works is if I put this as my chest piece, and I go out and I kill monsters with it, it's going to store up some life points for every monster that I kill. So let's see, let's find something worth stabbing. Okay, we've got a zombie over here, so if we just take it out, you'll notice if we look at this, it says it's stored 434 life points. And if I continue killing off a few monsters here, you'll notice that now this has 2,218 stored in it. And if we take a look at our Tartaric Gem, it has 5 wheel quality now. So basically the Tartaric Gem with your standard sword, for every monster that you kill, you're going to get 1 wheel quality. And if you go kill this guy, the coat of arms, of course, you're going to get about 400 and something for every monster that you kill. Life points. And this is an early game kind of way to bypass needing to hit tier 2 before you can sacrifice mobs, because this coat of arms is going to build up and it can store up to 10,000 life points. And then what you can do is, let's say you wanted to use up those life points. Like right now my altar is kind of low at the moment. If I take this off and I right click it, you'll notice it just got a bunch of life points in there. And it took all of the the life points out of this coat of arms. So basically it gives me a way when I'm out in the world exploring, I can still build up life points by wearing that coat of arms. Now, like I said, there's another version. There's the Blood Letters pack. And what this is going to do, it's made in pretty much a similar way, except you're going to use flint instead of iron. But basically what this is going to do is when you're out in the world and, you know, exploring or whatever, it's going to constantly keep you at about 5 hearts. And anytime you get health back, it's going to damage you back down to about 5 hearts. And for each half a heart that it damages you, it's going to give you about 200 life points into the Blood Letters pack. So it's another way to build up life points. And one thing that you could do is make multiples of these, especially like the coat of arms. And when you're out in the world, switch out once one gets full, and you could actually build up a decent amount of life points, depending on, you know, how much exploring and stuff like that you're doing. But you're also going to have to build up this Petty Tartaric gem. You'll notice I'm up to 1206 right now on will quality. It does take a little while to get a fair decent amount of that built up. The best thing to do, and one thing I'm going to do probably fairly soon before we move very much farther with blood magic, is set up a spawner. Because having a spawner set up for getting all that wheel and everything is honestly very, very invaluable. Now, of course, to upgrade your altar, you're going to need to make yourselves a bunch of these blank slates. I would suggest probably about 30 of them or something. It does take quite a few of them. So we're going to have to make a bunch of these blank slates in order to do that. So give me just a second while I get a bunch of these crafted. Alright, and now once you get a half stack of these, you could get by with just 16. I'll show you how. Of course, you could make these blank runes. These do count as a rune, but they don't give you any kind of a benefit. So usually I just go straight out the gate. I go ahead and I get 8 speed runes. So that's how we're going to do it today. But once you get 32 of your blank slates, then you're going to need a bit of sugar, 16 pieces of it. And so let's get that, and let's go ahead and we're going to get 8 of these blank runes. So, ourselves 8 of these blank runes, and then we're going to go ahead and change these over to speed runes. And what these do is they're going to speed up, basically when they're giving their effect. So if I just put, say, 4 of these around the blood altar, they're not going to do anything, because it's not going to be affected by any runes until it's at least a tier 2. So what we're going to do is we're going to surround the base of this with 8 of these runes, just like this. And that's going to give us our tier 2 altar. So, we've already got this upgraded now. And Tartaric gems are something you're going to have to work with, and just keep working them up. So I'm going to do that off camera, and we'll get into, you know, upgrading from there on the next blood magic episode. But now that we have our tier 2 altar, basically the only blood runes, strangely enough with the tier 2, the only blood runes that are affected are this one, this one, this one, and this one, the 4 on the axes. Now once we get up to a tier 3, it'll have all of these runes will be affected, and the next tier runes will be affected, because basically you're going to have to keep working up your blood altar up through the tiers. I don't believe in 1.10 that presently the tier 6 blood altar is implemented like it was in 1.7. I believe that's still being changed over for 1.10, but we can go all the way up to a tier 5, I know for a fact. So I do believe I'm going to end out the episode there. I know it's just about wrapping up point, and I hope this helped you guys out and everything. For those of you that had questions with the new blood magic mechanics, there are still new mechanics that we'll get into in the near future. I am probably going to move this by next episode, and we'll probably make some spawners. I'll do it on camera, at least for the first ones, and we'll cover those, and we'll use those for our blood magic in the near future, because Tartaric gems and sacrifices and stuff like that are just way easier if you have a spawner set up. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and as always, if you guys have any questions, do let me know, and I will definitely try to get back to you as soon as possible and help you guys out. And if you guys enjoyed the video, as always, be sure and hit that like button, and go ahead and subscribe if you're not already for more daily videos. And as always, until next time, do take care, and I hope to see you guys then.